Okay, back there? Yeah? Great. So thank you for coming this morning. I'm happy to say that there is not a snowstorm right now. Last year we had a snowstorm, I think, the day we were trying to install the gallery exhibit. And then the year before that, it was the very first day of International Development Week, we had a snowstorm. But I'm happy to say that people turned out for the event. So again, thank you for coming out here this morning. And before classes, during classes, I don't know, we'll see. A few faces here, I'm not sure they should be here. But anyway, my name is Jennifer Wilson, and I am the manager of international initiatives at Humber College, the business school, and I also work with the International Development Institute. So welcome to Humber's third annual International Development Week. International Development Week was started in 1991 by the Canadian government, and we also call it ID Week for short. And it's celebrated across Canada, and it aims to encourage all Canadians, particularly our youth, to learn more about international development and, more importantly, how we, as Canadians, are making a difference in the world. ID Week has always been celebrated the first week of February, but this year the government decided to hold it the second week of February for reasons I'm still not 100% clear on. But anyway, it doesn't matter because at Humber, in order to book event space, it's, my phone's going off. I don't know how to stop it. Cancel. To book space at Humber, you have to book almost a year in advance. And so once we found out that the government had moved it to the second week of February, we thought, let's make it a 2-week celebration. So then we've got time for more events. So ID Week is also an opportunity for us to learn how we as individuals can make a difference in the world in terms of reducing poverty. Each year during ID Week, the Ontario Council for International Cooperation, they recognize a small group of Canadian youth who are making a difference through their Global Changemaker Youth Ambassador Program. And in 2014, 2 Humber alumni were recipients of this award. And I'm very happy to say this year that 3 more students from Humber will be recognized on February 11th for their efforts in making a difference. So not only does Humber International Development Institute use ID Week to celebrate its students, its faculty, its staff, and alumni who make a difference, but this year we're actually using the opportunity to raise awareness of water as a human right. Hence, the only beverage here today is water. So on July 28, 2010, the United Nations recognized the human right to water and sanitation and acknowledged that clean drinking water and sanitation are essential to the realization of all human rights. So what does this really mean? It sounds quite simple. So really, the amount of water for each person must be sufficient for personal use, and these uses include drinking, personal sanitation, washing of clothes, food preparation, personal and household hygiene. And according to the World Health Organization, between 50 and 100 liters of water per person per day are needed to ensure that the most basic needs are met and few health concerns arise. Secondly, the water we must use must be safe and not be a threat to our health. Third, the water should be of an acceptable color, odor, taste for personal or domestic use. It must be physically accessible, so everyone has the right to water and sanitation service that is physically accessible within or in the immediate vicinity of a household, educational institution, washrooms are right outside the hallway, workplace, or health institution. According to the World Health Organization, the water source has to be within 1,000 meters of the home, and collection time should be within 30 minutes. And finally, water and water facilities and services must be affordable for all. The United Nations Development Program suggests that water costs should not exceed 3% of household income. So we live in Canada, and these 5 things sound so simple here. They are for me. I don't know about for you, but have you ever lived in a community, or do you know of anyone who lives in a community who has ever had or currently has a boil water advisory? As of November 30th, 2015, there were 136 drinking water advisories in effect in 92 First Nations communities across Canada, excluding British Columbia because they actually have their own assessment and monitoring. Some communities have been under this advisory for more than 2 decades. It's like 20 years of having to boil your water every single day. In November, I had the opportunity to visit a Mayan community in Grande, Guatemala, where I met Jaime, which is over here in this photo here, next to as well, and Estella, who is actually looking kind of backwards at a washing station there. So what about them? Is it simple for them? It's not. Jaime and Estella, they are lucky that they actually have a well right outside their home. So they don't have to walk too far to get water, so they have the accessibility, but the water itself is making them sick. They live in a mountain community only 10 minutes away from tourist, wealthy Antigua. Literally, it takes 10 minutes to go up mountain switchbacks, and you're right in their community. There are more than 1,300 people who live in extreme poverty in this community with no access to sustainable, safe, drinkable water. In August, Humber worked with a local organization to do a community needs assessment. Many needs were communicated, but the reality is that without better access to water, to sustainable, safe, drinkable water, very little will change in this community. Water is life. Each one of us can't go more than a few days without it, so we all have this in common. And for most of us in Canada, access to affordable, safe water is simple. We turn the tap, and there it is. But for many, it's not so simple. So water is technically a renewable resource, some may argue that, but the supply is not abundant, and we know this. But do we really pay attention to this fact? Does each and every one of us do absolutely we can do everything every day to actually conserve the water that we do use and to protect our freshwater resources? Admittedly, I can do better. It's our hope that the Humber community will take the time to learn more about how we can better conserve this precious resource. It's our hope that the Humber community will increase its awareness of how too many people in the world do not have access to safe water and what role you can play in making a difference in the lives of those who don't have water as a human right. And often sanitation is just not recognized for them. So I'd like to introduce James Cullen, Associate Dean of the Business School at Humber and the International Development Institute, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. On behalf of Elvita Cassiani, the Dean of the Business School here at Humber and the entire administration of Humber College, allow me to extend a warm welcome to everyone here this morning for the kickoff of International Development Week 2016. Humber College's mission is to develop broadly educated, highly skilled, and adaptable citizens to be successful in careers that significantly contribute to the communities they serve locally, nationally, and globally. As I listened to Jennifer's words just now, and as I reviewed the program that's going to run over the next 2 weeks, I was struck how the student organizing team has tightly aligned International Development Week 2016 with Humber's mission statement. Also, one of the 5 pillars of Humber's strategic plan is to maximize the impact of partnerships. So I'm very, very pleased that Humber's partnerships with World Vision Canada and GlobalMedic continue to gain in strength every year. Glad that you're here. We appreciate the support that each organization provides to the teaching and learning that is at the heart of what we do here at Humber. So a big thanks to both World Vision and GlobalMedic and all of the other organizations who support the international development programs, community development programming here at Humber. The support of our sectoral partners is critical in terms of internship opportunities for our students, job opportunities for our graduates, and the overall currency of the curriculum at Humber in general and in the international development programs in particular. I also want to take this opportunity to thank each of the Humber professors and guest speakers who are helping out with International Development Week 2016. My time here is short, But before I hand the podium back to Jennifer, I want to encourage everyone here to visit the photo exhibits. Obviously the one here in this room, if you also have cause to be at the North Campus on the first floor of the LRC, in the gallery space there's also an exhibit. Jennifer, thank you very much for your leadership in making sure that IDW extends to both campuses. Appreciate that very much. You are probably aware of this because there are little sheets of paper around the room that tell you this, but the full programming for the next 2 weeks is available at the website idwhumber.com, all one word. Finally, I want to offer my personal thanks and gratitude to the Student Steering Committee for all of their work. Excuse me. The student team has developed a very rich and engaging program that runs over the next 2 weeks, and to my mind, the program that our students have developed is proof positive that the students here at Humber in general and the International Development Program in particular continue to exhibit that they are broadly educated, highly skilled, and adaptable citizens that continue to be successful in careers that contribute to the communities that they serve locally, nationally, and globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. So today we are very fortunate to have 2 guest speakers with us, and they will speak how they and their organizations are working hard to make water a human right for those in need. Our first guest works with World Vision Canada's international programs as the regional lead for East Africa and also serves as a water consultant. Philip Makutsa has over 20 years of experience working with international non-governmental organizations in both development and humanitarian assistance programs. Prior to joining World Vision Canada, Philip championed the inception, establishment, and scale-up of a Center for Disease Control World Health Organization Safe Water Program in Kenya. This water quality intervention is one of the flagships of the World Health Organization's water strategy. Not only has his work been featured in several publications, but he has been a guest speaker to present his work at various international conferences. And today, Philip is here to help Humber kick off International Development Week 2016.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and Humber Humber community. How are you? The fact that you have decided to take international development as your career, it just gives me an impression that you have a soft spot for humanity. Isn't that beautiful just to think about that? A soft spot for humanity. How about clapping for yourself? Because you are on a very exciting journey. And when you talk about development, you know, the big picture is about poverty reduction. It's all about addressing issues of social injustice. And I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for even just giving us some of the stats that pertains to development, and more so when you look at the water issues. Now, by the way, I was going to say that in case you're having problem getting my accent, just raise up your hand and I'll try to be as slow as I can. Because when I landed 10 years ago, a friend of mine said, Philip, don't lose your accent. It's so beautiful. So I came to believe that it's nice. Okay. Yeah, so I just want to start by looking at that big picture. So the big picture is basically that when you talk about development, World Vision, we're in the business of working with communities, taking a journey alongside them and seeing them living a life that's secure, a life that is, you know, they're living with dignity. And many times when you talk about development, people think of it's a quick win. It's not. There's nothing like quick win in development. It's a process. It's a gradual process, which we are on. We're all in. So with World Vision, if you want to understand World Vision, think of the 3 C's I'm going to mention to you, and my talk today is going to be based on those. The latter part of the 3 C's. So the first C of World Vision ever that defines us as World Vision as an international development and relief organization is that we are, first of all, we are Christian. This is our identity. That's where we get our inspiration. We think of the example that Jesus gave, caring for those who are needy, the poor, those who are marginalized. That was how Jesus modeled for us. Those who are, living very, very vulnerable, those who are most vulnerable. And that's what kind of inspires us. And then the second C is that we are child-focused. We focus on the child. So we look at the children world over, and more so the most vulnerable children. And that's our, I would say, it would be our entry point as World Vision, as an organization. So that's how we move, walk around. But now, then the third C is that we are community-based. We do everything in the context of the community. And so, based on that, I'll be looking at just walking you through a little bit in terms of helping you to understand the development context within with the lenses of World Vision. How do we see World Vision through the eyes of the child? How does the child see poverty? And then how does water come in? Because it's all about breaking the vicious circle of poverty. And WASH is one of those very, very strategic interventions, which an expert said, one of the water experts, when they were looking at that 17 Sustainable Development Goals, he said that without making progress on goal number 6, all the other goals will never be achievable. Are we together? All the other goals will never be achieved. So when you talk about being child-focused, as World Vision has a vision for the child. And the vision for the child is that he will live life in fullness, that the child should have an opportunity to have life in fullness. And what does that mean? So to make us understand that, World Vision came up with 3 child well-being targets. I'll not go through all of them, but let me just mention one of them. One of them is that the children should be protected from infection and diseases. And that's where water comes in World Vision. That's how the WASH comes in World Vision. So every program that is designed in World Vision has to address those issues of waterborne diseases. How do we intervene with our program? And so that's how water is kind of positioned within World Vision. And then the other thing which is important, just to mention, is that within those targets, when we talk about child focus, we also realize that there's a girl-child education. When you talk about the issue of girls going to school, in developing countries, you all know it's a big burden. Fetching water, girls missing opportunities, and not having time left for them to participate in development programs, which boys are often tend to be kind of advantaged. And so again, that's why the water bit comes in. The other thing which I'd mentioned earlier is that we are community-based. So what does that mean? When we talk about water, we talk about building the capacity of the community to manage their own water points. We provide resources, we provide support, and we work alongside with the government. Now, the main purpose for that is all to do with sustainability. There's no point of talking water when you don't address the issue of sustainability. And when you talk of sustainability, there's no point of talking of sustainability when you don't think about structures. Community structures that will address and sustain the benefit that comes from that water, the water source. And we are talking about safe water source. We are talking about families having access to the water source. And that's why I like what you mentioned about the physical aspect of it. It's very critical when it comes to water programming. And then when you talk about the water, so therefore, for World Vision, in every water programs we have community management, we have community users association, and then for sustainability, we normally encourage them to have what we call user-free structures or mechanism, so that they can maintain the operations and the functions of those facilities that they get. Now, because, the way we position water is this way. And this is, if you get this one, I think you'll be an A student. many organizations promote water as a social good. World Vision, we promote water as a social economic good, which means you can use water for many other purposes too, to bring about, to stimulate economic development in those areas. Now, when I say that we are community-based, it means, let me just give you the perspective. When we get into a community, we get into a partnership with the community for 15 years. That's how long we stay in the community. And we work with them. And the whole idea is to see this child from under 5 years, under 2 years old, making his way up through the ladder. And so with that in mind, when we talk about the issue of water as an intervention, we also need to remember that you cannot have safe water if the environmental is not clean, hence sanitation. And you cannot have water and sanitation if you cannot talk about behavioral change, hence hygiene education. Are we doing well? Are we doing okay so far? Okay, because I'm seeing someone saying, so I don't know whether the information is a heavy load, so you're saying, okay, I'm still downloading. Okay, but I hope you're getting something out of here. So just to give you the magnitude of World Vision's work in the global kind of impact, we have programs in 55 countries. That's how huge World Vision is. And in all these countries, we have WASH programs. And if you love figures, if you like dollars, you know, we have spent about, I just picked out the data that we had for, thank you, data we had for FY, the year 2014, and we had spent about 113 million just on WASH, just to make sure that children are protected from diseases and infectious diseases. And so our vision for World Vision is to reach 14 million in more than 25 countries by the year 2020. And that's how we are working. That's what we are heading towards. And we believe that our partnership with Humber is a continuation of big things that are yet to come. Great opportunities. Countries are asking for us, oh, do you have volunteers? Do you have people who like to come to the field and learn? And let me tell you, you heard that in my profile, in my bio, I've spent 20 years in development and relief. And I always say, it's one thing getting the book stuff, but it's another one to be in the field. And so coming to Humber, from my interaction with your professors, I've learned that you guys are getting some practical stuff, which is going to help you to have a better vision and develop a passion for things that you feel is very dear to your heart. And so with these programs that we have in water and sanitation, we have seen lots of great successes out there. So the challenge we have, I just want to make one challenge and one quote from a consultant who went to one of our programs out there in Ghana, is that our biggest challenge in water in programming in World Vision is meeting the need out there. Water need is so huge. The demand is so huge. We don't get funds from the government. As you know, our government, Global Affairs Department, their priority has nothing to do with water. So water is not on the list. So we depend on private donors. We depend on other foundations to support us. And so the demand for us is still unmet and so big, and that's what we are working towards. And so that's one of our biggest challenges. And then the others, so this guy said here, he is a consultant who went out and looked at some of the work we have done over the last 2 decades. And he said, what's the secret? And this is what he puts out here. He says that, that when he went to Grande, they found that World Vision's model of local water committees and usage fee contributed to the sustainability of these wells. Which basically means that when you talk about water, you have to think about programming. You have to think about the design, and then how do you program within the development context over a period of time. And I think that's how you can be successful when you talk about water intervention. So because it's a programming, World Vision has developed some operation protocols on water quality. So when you go to the field, they have a protocol they use when to ensure that before we commission a water point, there are certain protocols that must have been fulfilled. And just because Jennifer told me that you won't have the whole day, I decided to come up with some handouts for you. And so after my remarks, you're going to each going to receive a copy of just a very nice impact report we have. This is how we profile our water, and it gives you basically our strategy, what we have been doing. It gives you an opportunity to see, to learn a lot about the components within our water programming that we have, as well as an opportunity to see a case study. And this is a case study which we have done from Kenya, where in Mwatate. And just get a sense, how was this programmed? What was the impact? And what difference has it made? Now, the beauty of all this is that this is coming from the Canadian well-wishers. And I'm so grateful to the Canadian government. Since I landed, the first thing I got to learn was about promoting and working with the Canadian government to promote international cooperation among the youth. And here you guys are on your journey to fulfill that. And that's a great joy. So thank you very much for having me come over. And thank you very much, Jennifer, for the invitation. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Philip. So I just had a very important announcement. Susan McGregor just said that her students are welcome to stay until the end. They don't have to rush off to class right away. See, we're all about real learning. Excuse me. So thank you again, Philip, for kicking off International Development Week here at Humber. Our next speaker is Rahul Singh. He is a professional emergency worker and the founder and executive director of GlobalMedic. And of course, I must mention a graduate of Humber College's paramedic program. Yay. Alumni. In 1998, Rahul founded the David McAntony Gibson Foundation in memory of his late friend with the intent of creating an efficient aid agency capable of delivering the maximum amount of aid with a minimum operating cost. As the operational arm of the foundation, GlobalMedic deploys teams of volunteer emergency service professionals, including paramedics, firefighters, doctors, and nurses, who respond internationally to disasters and crises. Rahul has personally led over 30 missions, including the response to the 2006 earthquakes in Chile and Haiti, and his organization is responsible for over 100 disaster response missions worldwide. In recognition of his efforts, he received the Indo-Canadian Chamber of Commerce's 2006 Humanitarian of the Year Award, presented by former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, the Premier's Award for Health Sciences, the Sprott Social Entrepreneur Award, and in 2009, Rahul was named one of Canada's top 40 under 40. In 2010, it goes on. In 2010, Rahul was named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of the world. And in 2012, he was invested as an officer of the Order of Ontario and presented with a Diamond Jubilee Medal by His Royal Highness Prince Charles. And in his spare time, Rahul serves as a paramedic for the City of Toronto. Please help me welcome Rahul Singh to the podium.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's very kind. So I think my role here today is to be a little controversial. And every remark that I give you, I want you to look and view those remarks through a certain lens. And this is the lens, okay? This is the optics. So I started an agency that puts emergency workers into emergency situations. Do you remember the quick win in development that's impossible because it's just not possible in development that Philip pointed out? We need quick wins. Because if we don't get quick wins, people die. Simple as that. In humanitarian, on that side of the continuum, it's quick, it's intervention, and it needs to be a win, or there's death. That's the only end result. So our agency is about putting skilled, highly skilled emergency workers who volunteer their time into crisis zones. So you can imagine the same folks that answer 911 calls here in the city. You know, your car accidents, when grandma slips and falls and breaks your hip, the heart attack. Those folks that come in an under-resourced system and a challenged system, and they deliver that care, and they get the person to the next level. So it's 911 to an international level. I'm going to stop there for 1 second. I'm going to point out that one of your classmates is actually an emergency worker. She's probably hiding now. She is. There's Anita, an emergency worker, a paramedic, a professional paramedic who's been deployed on multiple ops. I believe your last one was to foray into the war zone in Ukraine with us. So let's give her a hand for her efforts and her work. And if you want to understand a little bit about, GlobalMedic, our mentality, our edge, if you will, you talk to Anita, because she's been right on the forefront, and arguing her way in, delivering aid to people that probably wouldn't have gotten aid if, she's not kicking down that door, right? Philosophically kicking down that door. So optics, right? That's the optics. Emergency worker, the quick win, let's get a deliverable in, and let's talk about what is the most critical thing that we can deliver during humanitarian response, right? As an agency, we provide people access to healthcare. We set up field hospitals. We run mobile clinics. We give people healthcare. We provide them shelter. We deliver NFIs and humanitarian assistance. The most important thing that we do is wash. And I'll tell you this, I'll explain this why. Why it is the most important thing to get folks clean drinking water and proper sanitation. If every one of us was affected by an earthquake or a calamity and we did not have clean water, every one of us is going to get ill. Every single one of us will be ill. And I could put a hospital right there, and you'll come in and you'll get treatment, fantastic treatment, probably medication that you would never get locally, right? Your ciprofloxacins, your zithromax, your loperamide, every one of these doctors will treat you and give you these meds to deal with that disease. And you'll think, oh wow, problem solved. And what happens when you go right back to your shelter or your hut or whatever is left post-disaster? What water are you drinking? You're drinking that crap that made you sick, aren't you? Which means what happens tomorrow? You're right back in our hospital, aren't you? Did we do you any good? By putting those resources into just a hospital, did we do the greatest good for the greatest amount of people? Absolutely not. The worst part is you're going to come back now and you're going to have a highly resistant disease. A disease that, guess what? It overcame the first round of antibiotics that gave it, which means the second round, could that not happen again? So I ask you, was it worth putting up the hospital? I'd say no. Would it be worth to come in and cure your water source, treat it at a point of use, treat it at a point of source, fix the underlying problem that is causing the issue? You have to think about that, right? What is the greater good? There's not unlimited money out there, right? There's not unlimited money. And let's put this into context here. We understand on the development side that in places like Cambodia, when you do studies and you look at folks that had access to clean water versus folks that didn't have access to clean water, you see how they develop, right? The folks with access to clean water, they usually have things like a home, multiple scooters, their kids go to school. There's a certain level of wealth and economic development. Whereas folks that don't have access to clean water, what happens to them? They probably end up on that lower end of society, not a whole lot of money, because where's their money going to? It's going for health care for their kids, right? Because their kids, they're vulnerable, the elderly, if they even make it to live that long, are ill because of a waterborne disease, right? Now let's put that into the disaster setting, right? Can you imagine the family that's just suffered the earthquake that loses their home, right? Mom, dad, and 3 kids. That's the average family. We'll just make up that number for now. So what is mom and dad's only responsibility now? Take care of their kids, right? And mom and dad have got to be resilient, somehow get a roof over their heads, somehow get something to sleep on, right? Get kilocalories into their babies' bellies, right? Get them clean water, okay? Does mom and dad have to work? Well, of course mom and dad have to work. Mom and dad need money, right? Can you imagine if little baby Johnny drinks dirty water and gets nausea, vomiting, diarrhea? What now happens to that family? Well, mom or dad cannot go to work now because mom or dad has to take little baby Johnny to get health care, right? And even if they live in the perfect utopia where health care is free, right? Do you think health care is free in Canada? We say it is, it's universal, but the second you need a prescription, what happens? You're hit with every single charge, so it's not exactly free, right? So when little Johnny goes to a doctor, right, he has to pay to get to that doctor or walk, right? Mom has to take the day off, or dad has to take the day off, or dad takes the day off, mom watches the other kids, or all the kids go, right? You see the economic impact here. for this family that probably has nothing to begin with. And they certainly lost everything because of an instant earthquake, right? Like, see, these folks cannot afford this next impetus, right? This next injection of a disease. So then Johnny gets his treatment, right? He gets seen by the doctor. Where's mom or dad going to come up with the money for the medicines, right? Are they going to actually get real medicines, or are they buying black market medicines that may be expired, right? Which now have an impact. And then when the kid goes home, is the kid going to get sick again, or is he going to get cured? So the economic impact in real normal life, we see the difference between rich and poor because of clean water. But in a disaster, it's just exasperated. Can you follow that point? You see how it's just exasperated. So what do we do as agencies to get folks clean water? We do things like we fill tanker trucks filled with water. We chlorinate the heck out of this water. We purify it. We put it in a truck. We drive that truck down the road. In the hours after the Haiti earthquake, you would see tanker trucks driving down roads. And of course, the roads are out because buildings are down. So you can't drive the truck into the villages, into the subdivisions. You have to stay on the main road and drive around, and people crank open the taps, right? Do you think the poor guy that added the chlorine to that tanker would have put in the exact amount of chlorine? Do you think the tanker has enough time to mix before those taps turn on? Do you think the very first person who got the water that maybe had a little too much chlorine and got all these rashes on her arms, do you think she's ever going to come back and drink water from that tanker? You've just subjugated her to a life of dirty water, whatever source it was, because she's not going to trust yours, right? Do you think the folks that are getting tanker water from the end are getting chlorinated water? You've just hurt them as well, right? You remember that phrase, do no harm? Guess what? You've just committed harm. But put it on the other end of the spectrum. If it's all you've got, do you not do it? Do you send the tanker without chlorine? Of course not. It's not a perfect solution, right? So these days of tanker trucks, are they efficient, right? It's the great taxi war of Toronto. Are taxis efficient, or is Uber more efficient, right? I'm telling you, the current way we do this, and we give people water in a humanitarian setting, just because it's age old, does not mean it works. Here's another way that all the big agencies in the world give water. We have a bucket. We add chlorine tabs to the bucket. We get that bucket to the family. Let's look at this. The chlorine tabs will last about 3 months, based on a 15 liter per day per person rule under our sphere standards, right? You heard Jennifer talk about sphere standards and getting folks clean water, and we don't just make up these numbers, right? We know that sphere tells us 15 liters of potable water per person. Not cooking, not bathing. This is what you can drink, right? So now you give somebody this bucket, and they've got the tabs in it, and the cost is roughly $20, okay? Bucket, tabs, delivery and in, it's going to last you about 3 months. So you have to ask the questions. Are they going to use it? What do you think the acceptance rate of sodium chloride aquatabs are in the world? Anybody ever used an aquatab before? Go camping? Sure. Been deployed to a crisis zone, understand, right? So the acceptance rate in a highly developed, highly educated country where you understand use this or significant consequence is not even that high. Add in some fear factors in developing countries where people say they're putting that in your water to sterilize you because they don't want you to have kids. That acceptance rate is going way down, right? Here's the worst part. So it's $20, it's 3 months, okay? Which doesn't sound that bad, right? Like economic argument, right? $20, 3 months, that's pretty good, right? It's not very good if they didn't use it. Agreed? If they're using it, it doesn't matter if it's $4, right? It's just not being used. When does it get there? When do you think the people post-earthquake need clean water? In 3 days? In 5 days? In 7? I'd argue it's hour 1, right? Remember the quick win? Hour 1. Do you think those buckets and chlorine tabs arrive on hour 1? Do you think on our best day, where we can deploy out, put our large-scale water purification units that can produce 100 liters a minute of clean water, which means everybody in this room in the first 96 seconds would have their water needs for the day met? Do you think we can be up and running in the first hour? Of course not. We can't. We lose a day, we lose 2, just getting there. I've had teams fly into Tacloban in the Philippines, and the small planes say, sorry guys, you're too heavy in your weight, all your gear, you have to leave something behind in order for us to take off. And they will dump their clothing. They will dump their personal gear, and they will not let that water unit get off the plane, because that water unit will save the lives of that entire town. But again, it comes down to, when do we get there? Because I guarantee you, even if we're there in the second day, what happened to everybody? Do you think that every one of you could go 2 days without drinking a glass of water if you knew it was contaminated and you knew help was on its way? Every one of you would break down. Every one of you would drink something. Or water would find its way into the food you cook or something else, right? You would all be ill. So now the race against time is get you the health care you need, get you the medicines you need, but then also fix the problem. So coming back to that $20 solution, right? We looked at this and we looked at all these things about how we tanker, how we, get water out in pails with aqua tabs, and we thought, there's got to be a better way. This is our better way. We went to a low-tech, gravity-fed system, no electricity, no moving parts. You probably see a photo of it in the back corner there, right by the exit sign. The lowest technology possible, right? A ceramic filter system. I mean, nothing sexy about that. Nothing fancy about that, right? And the folks that we teach and we give it to, it's usually mom, right? Because what's mom want to do? Mom wants to protect those kids. And you explain to mom, hey, this is how you put it together, and this is what it's going to do. And mom's going to take away that same message. I use this, my kids stay healthy. Very, very, very powerful stuff, right? No concerns about dropping an aqua tab in, not at all. I put these two buckets together, I put the filters in, I pour my filthy water on top, the water comes through, it's filtered, it's clean, it's stored. Remember all these questions about water storage, right? My water is stored. I can put a cap on the top like a lid, which means what? No mosquito breeding. I didn't just create another vector for malaria to spread, right? All these simple solutions. So now that solution is probably 40, 50 bucks, right? By the time we get it to folks, let's say it's 60. Now let's do the numbers, right? 20 bucks, 3 months, 60 bucks, 1 year. Oh, let's do the random factoring now. So 20 bucks, 3 months is really 80 bucks over a year. Wait, this is cheaper. You're telling me there's a solution out there that's cheaper? And here's the factor. People use it. Doesn't have a crappy taste. People use it. It's a point of use system. So what I'm saying, in the humanitarian setting, we're constantly evolving. All right? We do all the other things because we know we need to get folks clean water absolutely this second, right? But you've got to develop it in a way where you have to be open to research, innovation, new ideas. Does that sound like the humanitarian world that you know? Do they sound like they're open to innovation and change? Do you think humanitarian aid agencies could afford to fail? Absolutely not. We can't, right? Do we want to take chances? But what I'm saying is you absolutely need to take these chances. Because if you can find a way that is more accepted and cheaper and delivers clean water, you've got to do it, right? Let's look at Flint, Michigan right now as an example. Not too far down the road, right? And it's got all the hallmarks of a water crisis, right? Does Flint sound like a rich city to you? Anyone think Flint is rich? These are poor folks, working class, in an economically devastated wasteland, right? Does anybody really care about Flint in the grand scheme of things? No. So what's their water's contaminated, and what is the government response? Let's give bottled water. Insane, not sustainable, right? But you've got to run the system. Does anyone have a clue as to what the answer is? Yeah, you've got to fix the infrastructure and the pipes, but there are simple point-of-use household solutions out there that you could go to Lowe's and Rona and Canadian Tire and buy that reduce lead. People in their homes think, oh, I'll just boil the water. Fantastic, you boil the iron, it's still there. The second you drink it, your kid will be affected, right? So there's all this misinformation. And the point I'm raising with this is it's the exact same application of process, right? How do you get someone clean water? So what's a good program for Flint, right? Go door to door, hand out specific filters, change that faucet because the faucet's going to have its, it's going to have its lead contamination. Put the filter in from the pipes in, so now everything from here to here is clean. It's probably going to be about $100 a family. It's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things, right? Use some volunteers. You know, there's a plumbers union that are living at the hall. Thousands of plumbers from America have come across, right? Thousands of plumbers from America have an answer that the governor of Michigan can't figure out. I mean, it's mind-boggling, but what it shows is it shows that disruption and that idea of this is the solution, don't be afraid of implementing the solution. And I'll tell you right now, we are about the deliverable, making the difference to that family, and not being afraid to try the new thing. When we went with the gravity water systems, we didn't put it across the full spectrum. You know, we tried it in places like Sudan and Somalia because we wanted to put it into very austere conditions to make sure it worked. And since we switched to it, 52,000 families in the last couple of years have gotten clean water at about $7 per person per year. I'll put those numbers up against any agency anywhere in the world because that will make a difference. Let me conclude with this. You're in this program. You obviously care about folks. It's not good enough to just care. It is not good enough to just care. If you're going to come into this field and you want to help, don't be afraid of the fight. Get in there and deliver that aid, deliver the aid with passion, and make sure that you are not afraid to fail, and make sure you deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. You've left us some stuff to think about there, and particularly Flint, Michigan. I'm happy that you made the water bottle comment. So what I'd like to do now is call up one of our student volunteers, Rebecca Isaac, to present each of our guests with a small token of appreciation. And one more round of applause. So thank you very much to both our guest speakers for taking time out of their busy schedules to come and speak with us today and impart some wise words. And of course, there will be a water bottle in your bag. I can guarantee you that. So we've come to the end of our program today, and I invite each of you to view the water exhibit photos in this gallery. And as James Cullen mentioned, the North Campus also has a gallery in the LRC. The photos have been contributed by World Vision Canada, GlobalMedic, and Corazones Libres in Guatemala. Most of them have a QR code on the bottom of them, so you can actually scan it and get more information that directly links to the organization's website or specific water facts. A big thank you to International Development Week students, the Student and Staff Committee, and many other volunteers who have helped us basically organize 2 weeks worth of water-related events. I encourage you to visit the website that the students developed, idwhumber.com, for a full list of what's going on, and also on the cruiser tables there's actually a little card, and on the back you can see more information. Over there on our water wall there, if someone has a language that they know the word for in water that is not up there, I invite you to use the blue marker that is there. It's erasable. And we're trying to see how many languages we can get up there by the end of 2 weeks. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, we once again are hosting the marketplace on the second floor of this building here. And it's various organizations and student groups come to showcase the work that they are doing to make a difference. It's a great opportunity to network and learn about innovative ideas on how you too can make a difference. So thank you everyone here for taking time out of your busy day to help us celebrate the opening of ID Week at Humber. Thank you to Susan McGregor for allowing her students to be late for class. And if you haven't had a chance already, please enjoy some pastries, some fruit, and of course, safe water before enjoying the rest of your day. Thank you very much.